You know, there's nothing quite as frustrating as walking into a room and forgetting why you're there. Or struggling to recall a name you've known for years. If you've ever had that moment where your memory just doesn't feel as sharp as it used to, you're not alone. In fact, it's something so many of us experience after 60, but here's the good news, it doesn't have to be this way. What if I told you there's one simple exercise, something you can do every single day, that can actually help reverse memory loss and keep your mind sharp? And no, I'm not talking about crossword puzzles or brain training apps. This is something far simpler, backed by science, and best of all, it takes just minutes a day. But before we dive into this important topic, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up and comment below telling me where you're watching from. I love connecting with all of you from around the world, so now let's begin. Now, before we get to that one exercise, and trust me, you're going to want to stick around for that, we need to talk about why memory changes as we age and what's really happening in our brains. Because once you understand that, everything else falls into place. You see, as we get older, our brains go through natural changes. The connections between neurons might slow down a bit, and the part of our brain responsible for forming new memories, the hippocampus, can shrink slightly over time. But here's what most people don't realize. Your brain is far more adaptable than you think. It can grow new connections, strengthen old ones, and even create new brain cells, no matter your age. The key? Giving your brain the right kind of workout. Just like your muscles need movement to stay strong, your brain needs the right kind of exercise to stay sharp. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I've tried memory exercises before, and they didn't do much. But here's the thing, not all brain exercises are created equal. Some of the most popular ones, like Sudoku or trivia games, only work a very small part of your brain. What we need is something that engages multiple areas at once, something that challenges your memory, focus, and even your body in a way that actually strengthens your brain over time. So, let's start with the first step, understanding how memory works, and why the exercise we'll talk about later is so powerful. Memory isn't just one thing. There's short-term memory, what you're using right now to follow along with this video, long-term memory, like remembering your childhood home, and working memory, which helps you hold on to information long enough to use it, like a phone number. The best brain exercises target all of these, not just one. And here's something fascinating. Studies have shown that physical movement, yes, even gentle movement, can have a huge impact on memory. That's because when you move, you increase blood flow to the brain, delivering more oxygen and nutrients that help brain cells thrive. But there's a specific way to move that's been shown to be especially powerful for memory, and we'll get to that soon. For now, let's talk about something you can start doing today to support your brain health, paying attention to how you breathe. Now, I know that might sound too simple, but hear me out. Deep, slow breathing isn't just relaxing, it actually sends more oxygen to your brain and helps reduce stress hormones that can damage memory over time. Try this with me right now. Take a slow breath in through your nose, filling your lungs completely, then exhale gently through your mouth. Do that 3 times. Feels good, doesn't it? That's your brain thanking you. And speaking of stress, that's another big factor in memory loss. When we're stressed, our bodies produce cortisol, a hormone that, over time, can actually shrink the hippocampus. So, anything we can do to lower stress is a win for our memory. Now, let's talk about one more thing before we move on, sleep. If you're not sleeping well, your brain doesn't have the chance to consolidate memories, meaning it struggles to hold on to what you've learned or experienced that day. So, if you've been skimping on rest, that's something to address right away. Alright, we've covered a lot so far, how memory works, the importance of breathing and sleep, and why movement matters. Now, let's start building toward that one exercise that can make all the difference. Because now we're going to talk about how to combine everything we've just discussed into a simple, daily routine that primes your brain for better memory. You know, it's funny, when we think about staying sharp as we age, we often focus on the brain alone, as if it's this separate thing floating above the rest of our body. But here's the truth, your brain doesn't work in isolation. It's deeply connected to everything else, your heart, your muscles, even your gut. And that's why the most powerful ways to boost memory don't just involve thinking harder. They involve your entire body. So, before we reveal that one key exercise, the one that's been shown in studies to actually reverse memory loss, we need to lay the groundwork. Because when you understand why this exercise works so well, you'll be much more likely to stick with it and see real results. Let's start with something you might not expect, your feet. That's right, your feet. Have you ever noticed how unsteady some people become as they get older? Maybe you've felt it yourself, that slight wobble when you stand up too quickly or the need to hold on to something when you turn around. Well, it turns out that balance and memory are more connected than we ever realized. See, every time you stand on one foot, walk heel to toe, or even just shift your weight from side to side, your brain is getting a workout. It's processing signals from your muscles, your inner ear, and your eyes, all at once. And that kind of complex coordination strengthens the very same neural networks that help with memory and focus. So, here's a little challenge for you. Next time you're brushing your teeth, try standing on one leg. Just for 10 seconds. Then switch. It might feel silly at first, but that simple act is sending a wake-up call to your brain. Hey, we're still in this together. Now, let's talk about another piece of the puzzle, your eyes. Have you ever played one of those games where you have to spot the difference between two pictures? It's not just a fun way to pass the time, it's actually training your brain to pay attention to details. And attention is the gateway to memory. If you don't notice something in the first place, you can't possibly remember it later. Here's an easy way to practice this in daily life. Pick an object in the room, a painting, a plant, anything. Really look at it for 30 seconds. Close your eyes and try to picture every detail. Then open them and see what you missed. Do this a few times a week, and you'll be amazed at how much more observant you become. But here's where things get really interesting. All these little exercises, the balancing, the focusing, they're leading us toward that one memory-boosting activity. Because the secret isn't just in challenging your brain. It's in doing it while your body is in a particular state, one that scientists have found actually triggers the growth of new brain cells, even later in life. And that brings us to rhythm. There's something almost magical about moving to a steady beat. Whether it's clapping along to a song, tapping your foot, or swaying side to side, rhythmic movement has a unique effect on the brain. It synchronizes different areas, improves focus, and, here's the big one, enhances something called neuroplasticity. That's just a fancy word for your brain's ability to adapt and rewire itself. So, here's what I want you to try today. Put on a song you loved in your younger years, something with a good, clear beat. And as you listen, tap your hands on your knees in time with the music. Left, right, left, right. It doesn't have to be perfect. What matters is that you're giving your brain this beautiful combination of sound, movement, and timing, all of which prime your mind for that big exercise we're building toward. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, when are we going to get to the main exercise already? But trust me, these steps matter. Because when you finally learn that one key activity, the one that brings all these elements together, you'll understand exactly why it works and how to get the most out of it. And here's a little hint about what's coming next. Imagine combining everything we've talked about so far, the balance, the focus, the rhythm, into a single, enjoyable daily practice. Something that doesn't feel like exercise at all, but more like play. So, now we'll put all these pieces together and reveal the one exercise that's been shown to not just slow memory loss, but actually help reverse it. You've waited this long, what's a little longer, right? And I promise, it'll be worth it. Because this isn't just about remembering where you put your keys. It's about keeping your mind vibrant, engaged, and ready for all the beautiful moments still ahead. You've been patient, and now it's time. Let me ask you something. Have you ever watched a child dancing? I mean really dancing, not worrying about steps or how they look, just moving to the music with pure joy? There's a reason kids do this instinctively. It's not just fun, it's one of the most powerful brain workouts nature ever invented. And that brings us to the exercise. The one that studies show can actually help reverse memory loss after 60. It's dancing. But not just any dancing, I'm talking about freestyle dancing to music you love. No complicated routines to memorize, no pressure to get the steps right. Just you, moving your body however it wants to move, guided by rhythm and melody. Now, I can almost hear some of you saying, dancing? That's it? But before you dismiss this, let me explain why this simple act is so extraordinary for your brain. When you dance freely, you're doing several incredible things simultaneously. 1. You're combining movement with music, which lights up multiple areas of your brain at once. The auditory cortex processes the sound, the motor cortex controls your movements, and the cerebellum coordinates it all. 2. You're making split-second decisions. When you improvise movement, you're constantly choosing where to step, how to sway, when to pause. This rapid decision-making strengthens neural pathways critical for memory. 3. You're engaging your emotions, because when you dance to music you love, your brain releases dopamine, that wonderful, feel-good chemical that also happens to boost learning and memory. Here's what's truly remarkable. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that regular dancing reduced the risk of dementia by a staggering 76%, more than any other physical activity studied, including swimming and golf. But here's the key, it works best when you're not following rigid steps. The magic happens in those moments when you're just responding to the music, letting your body lead. That's when your brain is working hardest, and benefiting most. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, I've got 2 left feet, or I'd feel silly dancing alone. Let me reassure you, this isn't about performance. There's no audience, no judgment. You could do this in your living room with the curtains drawn. The only thing that matters is that you move. Here's how to start. 1. Pick a song that makes you tap your foot, maybe an old favorite from your youth. 2. Stand in a clear space where you can move safely, hold onto a chair if needed for balance. 3. Press play, and just move. Sway. Step side to side. Swing your arms. There are no wrong moves. 4. Try this for just 5 minutes a day to start. The beauty is, as you keep doing this, you'll naturally get more creative. Maybe one day you'll add a little spin, or try snapping your fingers to the beat. That's your brain building new connections. And here's something wonderful, this practice doesn't just help your memory. It lifts your mood, gets your blood flowing, and reminds your body that life is meant to be enjoyed. Now we'll talk about how to supercharge this practice, simple ways to make your dancing even more powerful for brain health, plus how to track your progress so you can actually see your memory improving. You know, there's a beautiful moment that happens about 2 weeks into this dancing routine. It's when you stop thinking about doing it and start wanting to do it. Maybe you'll catch yourself humming a tune while washing dishes and suddenly your hips start swaying. Or you'll turn on the radio and before you know it, you're doing that little shoulder shimmy that used to make your grandkids giggle. That's when you know it's working, not just as an exercise, but as a natural part of your vibrant life. Now that we've revealed dancing as that powerful memory reversing exercise, let's talk about how to take your practice from good to extraordinary. Because while any dancing helps, there are specific ways to amplify its brain-boosting benefits. First, let's talk about variety, your brain's best friend. Just like eating the same vegetable every day doesn't give you all the nutrients you need, dancing to the same song in the same way eventually becomes less stimulating for your brain. The solution? Create what I call a brain buffet. Try this, make 3 different playlists. 1 with songs from your teenage years. One with music you've never danced to before. One with different rhythms, maybe some Latin beats, a waltz, even a little swing. When you alternate between these, you're giving your brain delightful new challenges. That moment when you switch from a slow ballad to an upbeat tempo? That's your neural pathways doing joyful gymnastics. Now, here's a secret weapon: add some simple hand movements. Research shows that combining upper and lower body movements activates more brain areas than just footwork alone. You don't need to learn complicated gestures, just try occasionally. Tracing figure eights in the air with your hands. Alternating between reaching high and low. Gently crossing your arms in front of your chest, then opening wide. These movements engage what neuroscientists call cross-lateral patterns, fancy talk for getting your brain's left and right sides to communicate better. And better communication between brain areas means sharper memory. Let's talk about duration. While even 5 minutes helps, the real magic happens in those 10 to 15-minute sessions where you lose track of time. There's a beautiful study from the University of Illinois that found this sweet spot triggers something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, essentially fertilizer for your brain cells. But here's what's most important: smile while you dance. It sounds simple, but when you smile, you activate the memory centers in your brain differently. Think about it, we remember happy moments more vividly, right? By linking movement with joy, you're creating the perfect conditions for memory improvement. Now, I want to address something important. Some days, you might not feel like dancing. Your knees might ache, or you're just not in the mood. On those days, try this modified version. 1. Sit comfortably in your favorite chair. 2. Play some music. 3. Just move your arms and shoulders to the rhythm. 4. Tap your feet if you can. You're still getting 70% of the benefits: the coordination, the rhythm processing, the joy response. The key is keeping the habit alive. You know what's truly remarkable? The way our bodies and minds remember joy. Even if you haven't danced in decades, your muscles still recall that twist you loved in your 20s. Your heart still quickens when you hear that song from your wedding day. And here's the beautiful secret: every time you reconnect with those joyful movements now, you're not just reminiscing. You're rebuilding. As we wrap up our journey together, let's talk about how to transform this dance practice from an experiment into a lifelong memory-preserving habit. Because what good is discovering the fountain of youth if we don't drink from it regularly? First, let's address progress tracking, but forget boring charts and numbers. I want you to notice the subtle changes. That morning you remembered all 3 items on your grocery list without writing them down. When you recalled your neighbor's grandchild's name effortlessly. That time you walked into a room and actually remembered why. Keep what I call a joyful moments journal, just a small notebook where you jot down these little victories. Not every day, just when you notice something delightful. Over time, you'll see your own proof that this works. Now, here's how to build your personal brain-boosting dance ritual. 1. The Daily Spark, 5 minutes every morning to your wake-up song. 2. Weekly Adventures, every Sunday, try one new rhythm or dance style. 3. Monthly Celebrations, on the 1st of each month, have a solo dance party to 3 favorite songs. But the real magic happens when you share the joy. You don't need a partner to make this social. Video call a friend and dance together. Teach your grandchild one simple move from your youth. Join, or start, a casual dance group at your community center. Remember Mrs. Henderson from our last video? At 78, she started dancing in her kitchen. At 80, she organized a monthly dance social at her retirement community. Now at 82, she says it's not just her memory that improved, she's made more friends in the past 2 years than in the previous 20. Here's your most powerful tool, the why list. Write down all the reasons you want to keep your mind sharp. Maybe it's to remember all the stories you tell your grandchildren. To stay independent and vibrant. to fully enjoy your favorite books and movies. Keep this list where you see it daily. On tough days, it will remind you why those few minutes of movement matter so much. As we close, I want to leave you with this thought. Your brain is waiting to surprise you. Every time you dance, you're telling it, I believe in you. And like any faithful friend, it will rise to meet that belief. Your invitation now is simple. 1. Put on your song right after this video. 2. Move in whatever way feels good. 3. Come back tomorrow and do it again. That's it. That's the entire secret. The neuroscience, the studies, the medical research, all of it boils down to this profoundly simple truth: joy in motion heals. So here's to you, to your courage in trying something new, to your wisdom in caring for your brilliant mind, and to all the memories you're going to make and keep in the years ahead. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a song waiting.